KC24 brings you a lifestyle show from people you know with Emily Irwin. Now, Central Valley Today.
Well, a water main breaks in the U.S. every 2 minutes, so it's understandable a new poll released in time for Infrastructure Week, which is May 13th through the 17th, from the Value of Water campaign. It finds that ensuring reliable water services continues to be a top issue among Americans. So here to discuss poll findings and the current state of our nation's water systems is Christy Horoski, a Value of Water campaign director. So thanks for being here. All right, what does this new poll, what does the new data tell us about Americans' views on our water systems?
Well, thank you so much for having me. So the Value of Water campaign conducts this national bipartisan poll on an annual basis to track voter outlooks on water issues. And what the data is telling us this year is that water is increasingly an important issue for voters across the country, that it remains bipartisan, and that voters are willing to invest a little bit more in water to ensure that their communities have access to safe and reliable water services. In fact, 88% of all voters across the country ranked water reliability as a top 3 voter issue, right alongside with reducing inflation and building a stronger economy.
Okay, that's pretty surprising, especially for a country like America. What else was surprising about the polling data?
Well, you kind of hit it on the head. I thought it was surprising that water remains such a bipartisan and really it's a nonpartisan issue. It's rare that a single issue gets such broad support across the country. And I think it's a reflection of the just intrinsic value that water brings to our lives on a day-to-day basis, and potentially how people across America are kind of starting to feel that as we are faced with more water main breaks, more service disruptions, more climate events, whether that's in an area of water scarcity or water abundance. And so water's a little bit more top of mind these days.
And what are we seeing in our infrastructure? What are some of the symptoms of our aging water systems?
So America's water infrastructure is in some places 100 years old, and in some places even older than that. That means that our water mains and pipes, distribution systems, they're all past their useful lives. And that's why we're seeing some of these main breaks. And that can lead to issues around unaffordability. So if your local water utility needs to spend a bunch of its revenue to repair a huge water main, that cost can be passed on to the ratepayer, and that's you and me. Ultimately, that has negative impact on our household, on our bottom line income. There's also an impact on businesses as a result of some of these service disruptions. When business can't continue to produce output, that has a negative impact on our greater economy. But what we found is that if we continue investing in water the way that we are now, over another 10 or 20 years, we can reduce that negative impact by about 46%, which would be great for our nation's economy.
Okay, so you mentioned money there. So how is current funding for water being spent to address these issues, to address the aging systems?
So back in 2021, Congress passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. It's a mouthful. It was an influx of $55 billion for America's water systems, single biggest investment in water in the history of our country. Sounds like a huge amount. And in fact, it is a big amount and a great first step toward closing kind of what we call the water investment gap. And that money is being spent on really top priority projects across the country, including finding and replacing lead service lines, which will lead to good health outcomes for our communities, and finding and replacing some of the old infrastructure that we've talked about. But the real takeaway here is that that amount of funding was a good first step, but really a drop in the bucket compared to how much investment will be needed over the course of the next generation to ensure that our country continues to have safe and reliable water access.
All right, all great information. Where can we go for more?
So you can find all of the results from our poll and our recent economic report on our website, which is thevalueofwater.org. And I would also encourage your listeners or your viewers to join the movement and follow us on X or LinkedIn at the Value of Water campaign.
Okay, Christy, thanks for being here. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and after the break, we're joined by a health professional who breaks down these 5 mental health tips so that we can all feel our best. Stay with us.